Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururaatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagini Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanam Bhunaktu Saha Veeryam Karamavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Today we are going to see the highlights of the entire Gita, and so that we have a bird's eye view and comprehensive understanding of this entire vision. You know, what is the purpose and vision of the Gita? Okay. Now, you must have heard there are at least 30 Gitas, maybe even more. Anu Gita, Raghu Gita, Uddhava Gita, Ashtavakra Gita, Rama Gita, Anu Gita, Kapila Gita, Parashara Gita, and our Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So when we just say Gita, which Gita is meant? Bhagavad Gita. As when you just say Sahasranama, Vishnu Sahasranama. Again, lots of Sahasranamas are there. Now, the word Gita is obviously a feminine word. Akaranta Strilinga. It is taken from the word Gitam. Gitam means song, right? But is it a song? And is it a song of Krishna or by Krishna? Neither. It is a Upadesha, teaching about Krishna. Yeah, on or about Krishna. So we see that this Bhagavad Gita is a Samvada, Krishna Arjuna Samvada of 700 verses and 18 chapters. It is found in the Bhishma Parva of the Itihasa Mahabharatam, composed by the Veda Vyasacharya, and he is called the Sarvajnaha. Why Sarvajnaha? Because he is an incarnation of Mahavishnu. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanah Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantam Punah Punah. So Shankaracharya is called Bhashyakara and Veda Vyasa is called Sutrakara because he composed the 555 Brahma Sutras. Okay. Now, you see that we saw once significance of the number 18 also. No? 18 chapters, 18 parvas, books, and 18 days the war lasted, 18 Akshauhinis, 7 for Pandavas, 11 for Kauravas, then 18 popular names of Sri Krishna, 18 names for Arjuna. There are definitely more. And what else? 18 chapters, Ashtadhyayini Gita, yeah. And even Mahabharatam was called Jayam. This is the original word. And they say the numerological value, number of that name, Jayam, is 18, the original name. Okay. So now we come to the Gita. Now we know that every chapter of the Gita is a yoga. Yoga means topic. Yeah. So these 18 chapters of the Gita, they are unfolding the Mahavakyam, vision of the Vedanta as Tat Tvam Asi. Yeah? And in what order? Tvam Tat Asi, right? Or there's another classification, Karma Bhakti Jnana. Yeah? We can easily see how the first 6 chapters is about us, the Jiva, struggling in samsara, and what is the role of Atma Kripa, Prayatnam, and the grace of one's own mind. All that is covered from first to 6. Middle 6, Tatpadam, Ishvara Anugraha, and who is Ishvara first of all? So what is the glory of Ishvara? How to tap into the Anugraha. And the last 6 is the Aikya Padam or Jnanam-centered topics. That is, how can I, this miserable, insignificant, limited Jiva, be equated to Jagat Karanam, Ishvara? So the Bhagavad Gita, shifts the focus of our vision. It is called, in English we say, paradigm shift. What is the lens with which I'm looking at the world and myself and society now? I'm looking through the goggles of Ragadveshas, right? So it appears as I want to look at it, right? But once the focus shifts, the Bhagavad Gita shifts our understanding to the higher I, higher I, and then my whole perception of Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara changes. So the Bhagavad Gita brings about that inward cognitive transformation. Okay? So that is Tattvamasya. Then who is Arjuna? If we ask the question, Arjuna is a pretext, a nimittam. Nimittam for us to receive the Bhagavad Gita teachings. No? Sarvopanishado Gavaha. If all the Upanishads are cows, then Gopala is the cowherd and Arjuna is the first calf for which the mother yields milk. But we are all like the Shatpadis and gaining that Amritam, Gita Amritam. No? That is that. So the Gita, even though it is a Smriti, it is given a status of Shruti. Because it has this vision of the Upanishads. It is called Samasta Veda Sara Sangraha. It is the essence, and that is why we just chanted, Gita, Sugita, Kartavya, Himanyehi, Shastrehi, Vistarehi. Where is the need to go to other Shastras? Does not mean you don't study Upanishads, but minimum Gita. Gita is so, very important. So you see that this Kurukshetra war is a trigger, a nimittam for Guru and Shishya to come together, right? And then, so what happens in the first chapter? Arjuna is discovering this acute samsara, helplessness, born of samsara. Because he has to face his Kshatriya dharma and he is unable to do that because of moha. Moha is leading Shoka. But what is really the problem? Fundamental problem, which is there universally, is Ajnanam. Ajnanam. No? In Vedanta, that's all we are addressing. Self-ignorance. I don't know who I really am. I know I am so and so, but I don't know who I really am. So Ajnanam is a fundamental problem. And what's going to be the solution? Knowledge. Self-knowledge is a solution. Gita over. And so Arjuna is sunk in grief in the first chapter. And it's so it is said that in our life also, this kind of gadagada situation comes to all of us. Some health issue will be there, loss of a near one, loss of a job. We read in the headlines, breaking news, some crisis situation will come. Then we become Arjuna, helpless and emotionally crippled. And then only we begin to wake up and search for, there must be something beyond what I know and what I see. And please help me, Ishvara. And so Arjuna surrenders very intelligently to his dear friend, Krishna. So that is Arjuna. And this is what we saw in Kathopanishad, Uttishtata, Jagrita. First, I have to diagnose that there is a problem in my life, and everything is not as smooth as it is. I discover that there is suffering in the world, only then I will go for treatment. That is the first stage of waking up. Uttishtata. Then who is Krishna Paramatma? Krishna is not Devaki Nandana in Gita. But Krishna stands for Nirguna Parabrahma, defined in the Taittiriya Upanishad as Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yam prayantyapi samvishanti. Which means that from which everything is manifested, that by which everything is sustained, and that into which everything will return. That is the supreme reality, or as you said, Nirguna Parabrahma, is really the Krishna talked about in the Gita. But Parabrahma is Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam. How can that Parabrahma talk? And listen, that is why Veda Vyasacharya introduces Avatara Krishna, so that there is a speaker for Nirguna Parabrahma. And so we find that Krishna assumes the role of Jagat Guru and Gita Charya in this Samvada. And I told you Samvada is between unequals. Samvada, there will be a Guru and a Shishya, as opposed to Vada. Vada is between equals. Okay. So, the Gita has got this pattern, just like our newspaper. I told you, there will be a Sankshipa, headlines, and then there will be details on some other page. Yeah. So we find chapter 1 presents the problem, and chapter 2 presents the solution. Yeah. Very briefly, that is Sankshipa. Then 3 to 17 presents the details. Entire Vistara. And 18 finally is the Upasamhara, ending summary. So Gita, there is a mini Gita, complete mini Gita in chapter 1 and 2. But because, we are all not ready for it, Krishna elaborates from 3 onwards. Okay. So that is the pattern of this Gita. Okay. Now, and so chapter 1 is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So in this chapter 1, we find that the Kurukshetra war is the trigger, and Arjuna collapses, and because he is gripped by moha, and moha is due to ajnana, avidya, ajnana. Ajnanam is the mother of all the problems, yeah. And then we have raga, dvesha, shoka, moha, all these are the secondary effects, okay. So that is the first chapter. Now how he throws down the Gandiva and he says, na yotsye iti, Govinda. Then second chapter starts very auspiciously with Sharanagati. Arjuna surrenders to Krishna and then, becomes a Shishya. And the moment Arjuna surrenders, Krishna is waiting for that and begins with the Upadesha. Number 11. Ashocyanan Vashochastam Prajna Vadanscha Bhashase Gatasu Nagatasuscha Nanashochanti Pandita. Then we saw all those verses we have to remember here. Nasato vidyate bhavaha na bhavo vidyate sataha ubhayo rapi drishtontaha tvanayo sattva darshivihi. Very paradoxical shlokas there. So Krishna says, Arjuna, for Sat, there is no abhava. For Asat, there is no bhava. What does that mean? Paramarthika Satyam will never cease, and you are that. Whereas Asat comes and goes. Bodies will come and go. Universe and cycles will come and go. And appearances, Nama Rupa will come and go. But not Sat. And that is why Panditaha na anishochanti. One who have gained the self-knowledge never grieve for anything. They know perfectly well Anatma, Atma. Nature of Anatma is to come and go. Atma is to simply be. Yeah. So that is why fundamental problem is myself. I am the problem. I am the solution. But which I, Anatma is the problem. Atma is the solution. Very simple equation. Yeah, and it is done. So in chapter 2, it's called Sankhya Yoga, and Krishna says that knowledge is the only solution. If self-ignorance is the problem, self-knowledge is the solution. Yeah, and then he says, he gives all these beautiful shlokas, no? Veda Vinashinam Nityam Ityadi. But is everybody ready for this highest knowledge? No. So, very graciously, compassionately, Krishna steps down and says, okay, Arjuna, let me give you a path to come to this knowledge. Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga. Yeah, you prepare, for you it is asat and sat. What is all that? So yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyakva karotiha siddhisiddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yogaha uchte. You think of me, smile and perform your duty. Yeah. And so Krishna explains why this karma yoga is important, because you will have individual harmony, there will be social harmony, and there will be cosmic harmony, because that is expected of you. Yeah. And then in the end of this beautiful long chapter, we find the description of the wise person, Sita Prajnaha, in the last 18 verses. Okay. Then chapter 3 is the most important chapter, Karma Yoga. And here this chapter starts with Arjuna's question, Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore ma yojesi Keshava. Keshava, you are confusing me. You just now, chapter 2, you said Sankhya Yoga, Jnanam is the most important. And now you're telling me to fight the war, which is karma. So which of the two is better? Karma or Jnanam? You tell me clearly. So, yeah. And so the whole Gita is in response of that. Okay. So then Krishna explains that, karma binds, but karma yoga releases. So action, it's not the problem in action. It is how you perform the action that will release. Yeah. So then here in this chapter, he says that, unaffected by the result, outcome, be unattached and then perform your swadharma. So Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharma swanushtitaha swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayabaha. Even if one dies doing one's own duty, it is better than doing somebody else's paradharma. Okay. And so here Krishna also gives that important shloka in 3. Lokesmin vividanishta pura prokta mayanagha jnana yogena sankyanam karma yogena yoginam. That is, you are not ready for ashrama sannyasa. Contemplative life, monastic, ritualistic sannyasa. Your path is karma yoga, path of action. But let me tell you the path of enlightened, wisely performed action. That is the path for majority. Okay? That is the focus of this chapter 3. And we've seen nahi kaschit shanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit. Nobody can remain actionless even for a moment. Why? Gunas. The gunas are dancing all the time. And, let's say even in deep sleep, you will kick your partner. That is also an action. Actions will continue. Or Swamiji will say, you are at peace in deep sleep, but others, are they in peace? You may be snoring. So actions will continue. But, that is the problem here. But karma yoga will release one from the grip of karma phala. And mainly because chapter 2, Bhagavan has said, do not seek the result. Don't be attached to the outcome. And the World Cup also, I'm sure they played a very good game, And see, expectation will be there. All of us would have prayed on Sunday. Yeah? There's nothing wrong in expecting a certain result, but to be attached to that expectation, this must happen to me, and this must not happen to somebody else. We have no control over that. Yeah. Karmani eva adhikaraha natu karma phalam. That is also we saw. So chapter 3, Bhagavan also introduces the concept of yajna. The principle on which the entire world is based on. Yajna principle is parasparam bhavayantaha. There is a mutual interdependence in the entire Brahmanda ecosystem. Yeah. So we can't refuse to do our dharmas. We can't keep grabbing. We have to be contributing all the time. That is the wonderful message of chapter 3. Then chapter 4, continues with the topic of karma, but the difference is chapter 4 is Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga chapter. That is Jnanena Karmana Sannyasaha. which means how to perform karmas and yet be a sadhu, renunciate. Yeah, that is the chapter 4, all about a wonderful chapter, very important chapter. And it actually starts with what? Avataravada. No? So that is when there is a cosmic imbalance in the world, then what happens? There is a divine intervention. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata atyuthanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. All that we saw, it starts with that. And then it continues to, Krishna explains what is enlightened action. Karmanya karma yapashe akarmani sakarmayaha sabuddhiman manusheshu sayukta krishna karma krit. Yeah? Even as you are acting, are you not actionless? Can you see that? You are the actionless awareness principle, the Sakshi Chaitanya as Atma Tattvam. And Anatma, mind will be constantly thinking and planning, and Anatma body will be subject to time and aging, moving about. Actions are there. Yeah. So here Krishna says that, then he explained a lot of yajnas there. Remember? Dravya yajna, tapo yajna, swadhyaya yajna, raja yoga yajna. So people are doing so many sadhanas. One is doing yoga, one is meditating, one is offering donations. But sarvam karmakilam jnane parisamapite. Pursuit of that knowledge of Ishvara is the highest yajna. Because you're tackling the root level of problem. Okay? And so that was the chapter 4. And then we come to chapter 5. This is sannyasa. Very important chapter also. And Gita is talking about the internal sannyasa. What is really mental sannyasa as opposed to monastic sannyasa is, that is, actions continue but with detachment. And the example was given of a lotus leaf. How the lotus leaf will remains in water, but it will never be stained. So too, I am in the midst of action, but I should not be affected, inside. And there we saw that shlokana sarva karmani manasa sanyasya sukham aste navadvare pure dehi na kurvan na karyan. That is the one who's happily living in this 9-gated body state. And he knows perfectly well, gunas are impelling the body and mind, but na kurvan na karyan. I don't do anything, nor do I cause anyone to do anything. That was the focus of chapter 5. So you see 3, 4, 5, they're all showing us the nuances of karma. Even right now, even as I'm talking, there should be the awareness that I am not talking. The mouthpiece is talking. You are listening, but you are not the listener. You are awareness, Sakshi Chaitanya, by which you are able to listen. And I am also the same Sakshi Chaitanya, by which I am empowered to talk. Yeah? So, this is not a split personality, but it is a background awareness. Yeah? There is a Chaitanya Sakshi awareness, and which is like the screen on which the movie is being played. Yeah? That is the subtlemost Atma Tattvam shown here. Then we come to the final chapter of the Pampadam, that is chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga. Now, Dhyana Yoga is, here Krishna shifts to the mind. Uddharet Atmana Atmanam Natmanam Avasadaye. Atmaiva Kyatmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha. How our own mind, if it is unsteady and in conflict and pain and fear, becomes my enemy. And how the same mind, when it is informed and educated and sattvic, is my best friend. Yeah? Then Krishna tells Arjuna how to control this monkey mind. Yato yato nischarati tatastato niyamye tat. So whenever the mind wanders, then you bring it back. It is so chanchalam, it is asthiram. Yeah, you have to bring it back. And then Krishna said that very important shloka, number 36 or 35 rather. Asamshayam mahabaho manodurnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena chagrhyate. By repeated practice, you focus on your Ishtadevata, on a mantra, some focus you have. And at the same time, vairagyam, insulate the mind from moving away from the center. Both are the twin wings, they say. No? Abhyasa and vairagya. And then Arjuna asked the question, what is the fate of the one who does not accomplish the goal in this life? And then we saw Krishna explains that one will attain to some Svargaloka and having exhausted will be born in the family of yogis, and continue the thread. Yeah? Pick up the thread in the next Janma. Okay. So with that, first 6 chapters, Tvam is over. Yeah. Then we saw there is a dramatic shift of topic to Ishvara, Tat, yeah, the glory of Bhagavan. And 7th chapter, the title is Jnana Vijnana Yoga chapter. And a beautiful chapter where Krishna is introducing his own Swarupa. This is, I have 2 Swarupas. One is my lower, Apara, Prakriti. Apara is introduced in this chapter. Yeah. Borrowed from which Upanishad? Mundaka. Yeah. So, Apara Prakriti, Bhagavan says, is my lower Maya Shakti, which unfolds the entire universe in a 8-fold way. Pancha Mahabhutas, Buddhi, Manas, Ahankara. And everything, appears. Yeah. But I have the Para Prakriti Sarupa, which is Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Arasam, Agandham. Then Krishna laments and says that, the entire world is engrossed only in my Apara. They are, going after my Saguna, forms with name and form. And nobody cares to inquire about the Para Prakriti Sarupaha. That's why he says that Ye Mam Prapadyante Mama Mayam Etam Taranti. Only those who would seek me will cross over my Maya. In this chapter, that was also mentioned. Yeah. So that is the higher and the lower Prakriti was shown here. And in this chapter also we saw some glories. No, I am the Gandha, the smell. I am the taste in water. I am the Prabha in Surya and moon. So some sample of his glories were also given in this. Okay. Yeah. Now that does not mean that Saguna Brahma, is a waste of time. No, it is a stepping stone. Without Saguna worship, Saguna mantra japa, and all that, we cannot come to the next higher stage, Nirguna. But the message here is don't get stuck up in Saguna. You keep your mind open and eventually upgrade yourself to the Nirguna level. So that was the 7th Jnana Vijnana Yoga chapter. Then 8th chapter, we saw it is a little bit of an odd chapter, isn't it? It's a side topic and it's called Aksharam Brahma Yoga. So there Krishna talked about how to do Omkara Upasana, how to sit steady, in a posture, regulate the prana, and then how we will pull the prana up and it leaves through the Brahmarandhra. And then there are 2 margas, Devayana and Pitrayana, or the bright path and the dark path, or Shukla Marga and Krishna Marga. So obviously they're referring to, one is the path of karma. So desire-based karmas. Desire-based karmas will entangle one in karma phalam. So we will be caught in the cycle of samsara and return. Whereas the Shukla Marga, Devayana Marga, takes that yogi to up to Brahmaloka, and then there is a chance of being taught by Hiranyagarbha Brahma and gain which mukti? Krama mukti. Yeah? So these 2 gatis also we saw in chapter number 8. And so Krishna, and so Krishna says here, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Anusmara Yudhyacha. That is, at the end of one's life, what will be the thought that will come to the mind? We can't choose at that moment. The thought that I have cultivated throughout the life will be the dominant thought. In fact, at the end of the life, there is bound to be weakness and, hopefully not, but dementia or anything can happen, right? We don't know. Aging, yeah. So Krishna says here that every moment you think of me, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. Any problem, Rajeshwari? Okay, so that is chapter number 8. Everything okay? Audio is fine? Now we come to 9th chapter. 9th chapter is called Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga chapter. So here Krishna says that this knowledge, Adhyatma Vidya, or Atma Jnanam, is a secret. Secret in the sense it is very valuable. It is valuable and not easily accessible. Because one needs a sharp, introverted mind. Yeah, and so very few people are going to search for this knowledge. Yeah, and so in the 9th chapter, Bhagavan is talking about this rahasya-like, knowledge, and this is a kingly secret and the kingly science. No, and there we saw that shloka 4 and 5. Those were the tricky shlokas. I spent quite some time on that. Remember? Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina vatsani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavasitaha nacha matsani bhutani pashyami yogam aishwaram. So first Bhagavan says that the whole world is in me. I am not in them. Which means what? The Nama Rupa Kriyatmakam have manifested by my Maya Shakti. But I am Nirguna Parabrahma. Yeah? But the next shloka said, they are not in me also, appearing to contradict his own words. So what this means is that from the Paramarthika point of view, if Nirguna Brahma were to see, what world, what jivas, only I alone am there. It's like, the water in the ocean saying, what are you talking about? What waves? There's only water. But from the wave point of view, there is waves. And all the waves are contained in water. Yeah. So the same thing, the ornaments. The gold says, what ornaments? What bangle, no spin, mala? I don't see any of that. There's only gold. But individual ornaments are Namarupa. They're sustained by gold. Yeah. So today also Swami Tattvavidanandaji in his talk was saying very beautifully, So when we see ornaments, we should have the gold buddhi and not bangles, variety buddhi should not be there. Yeah. And when you see food, we should have what buddhi? Calorie buddhi. He explained it beautifully. He said when you suppose junk food in front of you, you should immediately think, this is not pizza, burger and all. You should think, how many calories am I consuming right now? Which means what? Go to the tattvam, have the sukshma buddhi or the sukshma drishti. Yeah. So this 9th chapter, talked about that sukshma drishti here. And then we saw that wonderful promise here, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Janaha Paripasate Tesham Nityabhyuktana Yogakshemam Ahamyaham. Yeah. And 9th also we saw the stages of bhakti. 7th onwards, and Bhagavan has said that, the Jnani Bhaktaha who seeks me, he is dearest. Yeah. Whereas all the others have Sakama Bhakti. They want something. They are also dear to me, but they're not the dearest. Yeah. And makes it very, very clear. And Jnanidu Atmaiva Me Matam. Okay. Then we come to chapter 10. Yeah. Chapter 10 is a very beautiful chapter called Vibhuti Yoga. So Krishna, points out to nearly 75 Vibhutis. I am Garuda among birds, I am Ganga among rivers, Himalaya, I am Bhrigu Maharishi, I am Sri Rama amongst warriors, and the list goes on and on. Among Adityas, I am Vishnu, and so on. Why does Bhagavan do this? No? Again, Arjuna has asked the question, question that, you give me a list of your vibhutis, hey Janardana, so that I can contemplate upon them. And so all these are to expand one's mind to see the divinity in everything, right? It may be insentient, like not moving. Rivers, there is movement, but they don't move, right? Their location is fixed. So we have to see Ganga as divine, Himalaya is divine, and the Gomata is divine, no? And in that there is one divinity. Even the fraudulent people are divine. You may wonder how. Because at the core, they are divine, right? But the mind is not divine. Mind is Asuri Sambuddha. Then we come to the 11th chapter. And in the 11th chapter, we have, what is it called? Vishwarupa Darshana chapter. Very, very dramatic chapter here. And a long chapter in the Trishtup meter to give us that sense. And there, Bhagavan gifts the Divya Chakshu to Arjuna and shows that all-inclusive cosmic form. And what does Arjuna see? He sees all the Devatas, Asuras, Yugas, Lokas, everything. And past, present, future, all the 10 directions. No boundary to that form. Sees the millions of suns are rising, setting, galaxies are moving. Yeah. And he sees himself and all the Kauravas. Kauravas are being sucked into the mouth. And then those protruding teeth, they are making chutney out of them, and terrified, Arjuna asks, who are you? Krishna, I thought I knew you as my dear friend. And Guru, who are you? And what does Krishna say? Kalaha asmi lokakshayakrit. Yeah, for, reducing this bhara, I have assumed the form of time. And time is sarva bhakshakaha, all swallowing. It swallows up everything. Yeah. So look at them now, Arjuna. You see the outcome of the war? I have fought it already as time. Yeah, they are going to be destroyed. I'm going to die. You think you are going to shoot and win the war? No. So, nimitta matram bhava he sabyasachi. So you be a nimittam. You just hold the gandiva and it will be done. Yeah. So like that, how Krishna shows the samashti cosmic angle. Yeah. And how each one of us has a role to play and a part in the movie, the cosmic movie, and we just have to do our bit. Yeah? That is the message of the chapter 11. And in this Madhyama Shakta, the 12th chapter is a very sweet, short chapter called Bhakti Yoga. And here we saw the various stages of Bhakti. I told earlier also, see, Bhakti Yoga is not something different from Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga. Because Bhakti is an attitude. Karma will be converted to Karma Yoga by Bhakti. And if I have Bhakti towards this pursuit of Gita, Upanishads, that is Jnana Yoga. So Bhakti is common, right? And we are so fortunate to have training in Bhakti right from childhood in our glorious Bharat Desha, right? It's called the Bhakti, the land which wafts the fragrance of Bhakti in our country, is it not? So that is the beauty and the glory. Huh? So here in this Bhakti Yoga chapter, again Krishna says there are stages of Bhakti, and Bhakti will bring the maturity. But first I have to start with what? First I have to start with, of course, I'm desiring Artha Kama, Then I pray to the Lord to be able to follow Artha Kama. Then that will shift to Karma Yoga, second stage of Karma, And then Ekarupa Bhakti, then Anekarupa Bhakti, then finally Arupa Bhakti. So this doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, in stages, the bhakti has to become mature. And so finally, the one who has Ananya Bhakti, that person is called a Eka Bhakti. And one who has discovered me in his or her own heart, and he has no expectations, no demands, no ifs, no buts. And that is the Nishkama stage. And there we saw a beautiful description of the Bhakta Lakshanas at the end. Samasarveshu Bhuteshu and Adveshta Sarvabhutanam Maitra Karuna Evacha. So such a Bhakta, he will not be feared by anybody. He will not cause disturbance to anybody. And he will be same. Somebody praises him, fine. Somebody insults him, fine. There is no ragadvesha, no hate in the heart for anybody. And that should be our goal. The last beautiful shlokas there. No expectation. And, he's got no friends, no foes. Even friends. He'll be friendly to all. But it won't be attached to anybody. My dearest friend won't be there. That is the 12th chapter. Then 13th chapter, again now we have completed the Tatpadam. Now we have entered the last Shatkam, which is Jnanam centered or Asipadam. And we have this Trayodashatyaya, 13th chapter, which is called Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga chapter. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramitya vidhiyate etat yoviditam prapuhu kshetrajnam iti tadvidaha. So Bhagavan points out the difference between kshetram, the field, and kshetrajnaha, the user of the field. So we are able to see, okay, this table is kshetram, the park is kshetram, outside, no problem. But do I see my body as kshetram? Do I see my mind as kshetram? So that is the subtlety. Whatever you can observe and objectify, put it in the kshetram category. And whoever uses it, observes it, is a drik, is the kshetram. So here, Bhagavan has clearly said in the very first shlokas, Mahavakyam is over. He says, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. In every kshetram, be the kshetram of an ant, a sparrow, a thief, a saint, same kshetrajna is there in every upadhi. That is what is there. So then, how will I know this? Jnana chakshu. At the end of this chapter, it is said that Jnana chakshusha kshetrajna kshetrajna yogo evam antaram. The one whose eye of discrimination is awakened by the grace of the Guru, who is teaching the Shastra, Gita and Upanishads alone, and through Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasam alone, will the inner eye be opened. And that awakened eye of knowledge can see clearly what all is kshetram and what is kshetrajna. And in this chapter, we also had that very important section, 7 to 12, which is a favorite section of Puja Swamiji, which is the value of values. 20 values in 5 shlokas. Amanitvam adamritvam ahimsa kshantirajam ityadi. Then we go to 14th chapter. 14th chapter is again what? Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga chapter, where we saw a very detailed analysis of the 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. How each of them, how do they manifest in my body and mind, and how do they influence me? And what happens later after this life? Sattvastaha urdhvam gachanti, tamasaha adho gachanti, rajasaha madhye tishtanti. That is Prithvi Loka, right? So it is said, what is the outcome of all the 3 gunas. Yeah. So the idea here is, that all the three gunas have their own importance. We need some tamoguna to be able to sleep. Yeah. And so that in the sleep, some other activity can happen by Prakriti, archiving of the knowledge, relaxing and cleansing and all that, tissue repair, all that happens. No? Tamas is very important. Even outside in the nature, night time, then the moon can do the nourishing activity of the earth. Then Rajas is important for Karma Yoga, duties. Yeah. But then Gita says the most important guna is Sattva. Only when the Sattva guna is predominant will I be detached, will I be compassionate, will I be able to understand the texts like Gita and so on. There are many of our people known to us. They will be full of healthy rajas, but they will not come to Gita class because that rajas has to bring them to Sattva, so that then only there will be an interest in listening to Gita Upanishads. Otherwise, they cannot stay in a class for more than 5-10 minutes. They'll be looking around who has come, who has not come. And oh, that sari is nice, what Padma is wearing. So gone. That it's really nice. So that is the Guna chapter. Very, very beautiful. Then in the end again, Sri Bhagavan says the Sthita Prajna of chapter 2, and the Bhakta at the end of chapter 12 is the Gunatita of chapter 14. Yeah? So there we saw who is a Gunatita, the one who is enjoying the dance of the gunas, but will not be come under the grip of the gunas. He does not hate the tamoguna when it is present. Neither is he very ecstatic when it is super sattvic moment. All of them he sees with in a very detached, in the detached light. He sees, and then not that he won't do anything about it. He will be proactive. There's too much tamas, then I need some exercise or whatever. So necessary activity also will be there. Then we come to chapter 15. Yeah? 15th chapter is called the quintessence of the Gita. And, it's here that Krishna starts off with the metaphor of samsara vriksha and explaining the whole tree of life, the world, as an inverted tree. Why inverted? Because the root of the tree, Urdhva Moolam, is beyond time and space. We can't see it. And that is why inverted. Whereas an ordinary tree in our garden, we can see, roots sometimes come out and they are down. But this root is above. Above means Bhagavan, Urdhva Moolam. Yeah? And Bhagavan cannot be seen by Pratyaksha Pramana. That is the idea. Urdhva Moolam, Adashakam, Ashvatam, Pramarapiyam. Then we saw the graphic description of how they're all like the birds perched on this tree and then tasting the sweet and bitter fruits, Karmaphalam. In fact, Kathopanishad, the same metaphor is going to come in Kathopanishad in a more graphic way. And the birds are all shouting, oh, crying, because they're all caught in samsara. They are in the tree. So when will the tree fly? When will the bird fly off the tree? The Sakshi bird, when it knows that by gaining self-knowledge. Then the samsari bird becomes the Sakshi bird. And here in this, I told you the famous shloka 15. 15th shloka of the 15th chapter is very important. Sarvasya chaham vriti sannivishtaha mattasmiti jnanamapohanancha vedaisya sarvairahameva vedyaha vedanta kritveda videvacham. So Krishna says, sarvaihi ahameva vedyaha. I am the topic of every pursuit of yours. You're doing karma yoga, I am the goal. I am the karma phaladata. I am going to connect your effort and result. And if you're a mumukshu, I am going to show you that I have entered everyone's hearts. Sarvasya cha aham hridi sannivishtaha. I have entered your hearts. Yeah, I am there, and from me only everything is available. Yeah, body, mind, forgetfulness, memory, all the powers, shaktis are all from me. That is the famous shloka which I chant every day. 15. Then we come to 16th chapter, which is Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga chapter. And we know that, this Mahabharata war is happening in our own mind every day, or every moment rather. Tug of war. Does it happen or not? Yes. No? So here Krishna shows the Daivi Sampat. What's the divine wealth and what is the demonic Asuri Sampat? Yeah? The first three shlokas, Abhayam Satya Samshuddhihi, Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi, and so on. And then in the end, very dramatically, we saw many more verses of the Asuri Sampat because they are in the majority. Yeah. And Daivi Sampat is really minority here. And so the idea is to enhance sattva and to minimize tamas and manage rajas. So the last shloka, Tasmat Shastram Pramanante Karya Karyo Vyavastitao. If you're not sure, then consult wise people or the Shastras. They will guide you in what is to be done and what is to be avoided. Then you will be on this route to sattva always. Then we come to 17th chapter, which is Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga chapter. And Shraddha is Shraddhavan Labate Jnanam. Shraddha is not just faith or trust. Shraddha is born of one's svabhava. Shraddha is my inclination, my attitude, my disposition. So, yogyat shraddha saha eva saha. So, the svabhava I bring with me in every life. That's my capital at birth. But the shraddha can also be fine-tuned. So 16, 17 are so important, especially for schools and colleges, where we have to teach the children and the youth how to increase sattva. And so here, what did we see in this chapter 17? How the Shraddha impacts our lives. Yeah. So Bhagavan took 4 aspects of life. That is Yajna, Dhanam, Tapas, and worship. Yeah. The worship. So if as is the Shraddha, so will be your choice of deity, how you worship, how you do your Dhanam, how you do your Tapas, and what ahara you're having. No? If your mind is already rajasic, you will order Swiggy, Zomato, and get all this junk food. Yeah. So very, very important that the threefold Shraddha was shown here. Then at the end, we saw the profundity of the mantra Om Tat Sat. Yeah. Om Tat Sat, we see this in every, at the end of every chapter. Om Tat Sat. And now we come to the last chapter, that is 18th chapter. So 18th chapter is the concluding summary of the Gita, whereas chapter 2 was the beginning summary chapter, right? In between are the Vistara, the details. Yeah. So again, the 18th chapter started with Arjuna's question. What is renunciation? No? Then Krishna explains. Renunciation does not mean just sitting quietly in one place, avoiding action. You have to do yajna, dhanam, tapas. Be active in the spirit of yajna. You donate, do your performance Swadharma, do your Gayatri Japa, Sandhya Vandanam. All this is very, very important for Grahastha stage. And Arjuna is in the Grahastha stage. He has to do Kshatriya Dharma. So, Jnana, Yajna, Dana, Tapa, Karma, Natyajam. Do not give it up because Pavanani Manishinam. They will only give you the Chitta Shuddhi and that will qualify you for this Jnanam. And Jnanam is the ultimate solution to the problem of Ajnanam. Yeah. So, you follow that route. Yeah? Then Krishna took some more aspects of human life, and based on the Guna model, we saw the analysis. No? Karta, Karma, Buddhi. What are they as per the Gunas? Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. No? And there always we saw that the Sattva will always give us the vision of oneness. Can I see the one despite the variety of Namarupas? Swamiji was telling today that, when you see all the people, are you looking at them as, oh, this is my Shudra, and this is a scientist, he's rich, she's poor, she's male, female, or are you seeing all of them as humans? So that basic drishti of oneness, that is called Sattvika Karma, Sattvika Buddhi, Sattvika Karta. So the vision of oneness. And then ultimately you go even beyond that human drishti to see that the same Kshetrajnaha is indwelling all the humans. And not even humans, all the non-humans. And not even the non-humans, also insentient stones, plants, mountains, everywhere. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. That is the ultimate vision that Vedanta is leading us to. Then we saw again that Varnashrama discussion from 41, 42 and 43, 44, which we saw in chapter 4. Remember, Krishna said, as per the Guna, there is a certain karma to follow. And we have all these, classes of employees. Some are suitable for as thinkers and philosophers, but others, because tamas is predominant, they better do some, hard work and then upgrade themselves slowly. Nobody is stuck with the swabhava. Then finally, what happens in this chapter 18, which is called Moksha, Sannyasa, Yoga. That is telling us what is moksha. Moksha is to be gained by sannyasa. Moksha, sannyasena. But what is moksha is explained here. So in 65th shloka, 65, we saw the essence of karma yoga. First, karma yoga. Pravritti marga and manmana bhava madbhaktaha madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyante pratijani priyosi. Arjuna, you are very dear to me, so I am telling you the secret of karma yoga. Fix your mind on me, offer your activities unto me, think of me at all times, do namaskaras to me. So that me means who? Bhagavan, yeah. But that Bhagavan is right here in our own heart, right? So that we must not forget, yeah. And so that is the initial stage, the Karma Yoga in 65. Then finally, Bhagavan gives the last Upadesha in the entire Krishna-Arjuna Samvada in 66. We can all repeat. Sarva-dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva-papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shujah. Here Bhagavan says, Arjuna, sarva-dharman parityajya. And sarva-dharman means sarva-karmas. You're worried about the binding nature of karma. This will happen, this will not happen. Okay. You surrender all your karmas, give them up and come to me alone. Now, what does that mean? All the while Krishna is saying, do. Perform your karma. Then how he can say give up the karmas? So, not literally giving up. You have to be an instrument in the hands of the divine and let the karmas go through you, happen through you as an instrument. So, which means kartritva tyagata. I am not the doer. Yeah? Then who am I? I am the akarta, abhokta, sakshi. We have come to the jnana shloka, no? So I am the awareness. No? Ishvara is present in my heart and guiding me. And so through these actions. Yeah? But I am not attached to any action. Neither do I feel that I am doing it. Gunas are doing it. Gunaha guneshu vartante. Yeah? So the Upadi dharmas, I am free from them. Then Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja, Krishna says, come to me alone means what? Discover me in your heart. Yeah? I am not only in the temple, in places of worship, yeah, but I am right here under your nose, in your hearts. And call me as Kshetrajnaha, call me as, Nirguna Brahma Tattvam, or Ishvara, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, Hritteshe Arjuna Tishtati. And then I will free you from all the papas. No? Now, remember the story of Ratnakara, the dacoit? His some punyam in his account, blessed him to meet Narada, and then with the Rama mantra, he became Adikavi Valmiki. Yeah? But that did not happen overnight. So when Krishna says, okay, you go ahead with your papa karmas, and I will sign them off. Can that happen? No. So the papa karma phalams will have their effect. Yeah. But I have to neutralize them with punya karmas first. I have to convert the asuri sampat to devika sampat. Then when there's a sattvic mind, then alone what will Krishna do? Light the lamp of knowledge in the mind. Then jnana deepena bhasvata, then the darkness of ignorance will vanish. But all that is compressed in this one shloka, so we have to understand it in the proper context. Yeah? And that is what is moksha. I will free you, which means Bhagavan is going to show each one of us that we are already at the core happy, secure, peaceful beings. Can I see myself as already secure, already peaceful, already full, already, nothing I'm lacking? Is that my vision right now? Sometimes, yes. You have to say, give some credit to the Gita. Yeah. Sometimes without a reason, I may be content and happy, right? But not always. And so I have to keep up the journey. Gita Sugita Kartavya. I have to study the Gita again and again. Shravanam, Maranam, Nididhyasnam. So that when things are turbulent around me and very challenging, unsettling situations also, I should be able to see what? Aham Brahmasmi. That at the core, I'm really a stable, lovable, secure, complete person. That is what is the nature of moksha, and that is naishkarmyam, actionlessness in action. Yeah? So you see how beautifully Gita is not a literature that is going to solve the problem of grief by asking somebody to run away. It's not escapism here, right? You have to face it and face it wisely, and then discover the Paramatattvam in the hearts. And then after saying all this, then we saw Palishruti and all that. Then finally, what is Arjuna's response? Nashtaha mohaha smritihi labdha karishe vachanam tava. Gone is my delusion, Krishna. No more questions I have. I will do as you say. Yeah? Kshatriya dharma is important. I have understood. And I have also understood that I am the awareness, that I am not really doing. You are making me do. Yeah. So that he is understood, and I'm free from doubts. Yeah. Then finally, what the last shlokas are summing up by Sanjaya. The whole Gita opened with Sanjaya narrating to Dhritarashtra. Yeah. And now Sanjaya, winds up, and then he says how fortunate, how blessed he is to have heard this dialogue, because he was blessed by Vedavyasa, and how he rejoices over the cosmic form, the dialogue, and then finally, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishnaha, Yatra Partho Dhanudharaha, Tatra Shrihi Vijayo Bhutihi Dhruvanete. So he says, hey Maharajan, Dhritarashtra, you see, where there is Yogeshwara Krishna standing for perfect knowledge, yeah, standing for the Paramatattvam, and where there is Arjuna, the Jiva. But now the Jiva is enlightened Jiva, ready to perform action, ready to be an instrument in the divine hands of the Lord. Then you will have all this. Shrihi, Vijayaha, Bhutihi, Nitihi. There will be perfect law and order. You look at our country now, is this the status right now? Very wonderful, bhutihi, nitihi. No. So we have to, educate the people. We also have a responsibility to somehow bring this knowledge to elsewhere, to our community, schools, colleges, so that they discover the wisdom that everybody performing the Svabhavajam karma, dharma is contributing to that niti. Then there will be success, there will be wealth, there will be prosperity. Then how come moksha is not mentioned here? So one Mahatma said, not many people want moksha. They want only bhutihi, nitihi and shrihi and vijaya, success. That's one example. So, that is for Dhritarashtra. Yeah. So then, this is the last shloka of the Gita. So you see how the Gita began with Ashocyanan Vashochastvam and ended with Ma Shuchaha. Yeah, do not breathe. So the Gita is a Shoka Moha Nivritti Grantha, Moksha Shastra, which is meant to remove sorrow. Yeah. And how does it remove sorrow? By doing that paradigm shift, by empowering one with knowledge. Yeah. And in fact, it's encouraging action, but enlightened action. Action done very, very wisely and with a vision, with a goal in mind. That is moksha. Yeah. And so it is called also Tarana Vidya. You know the story of Tarana Vidya, I think I've told that before. The Pandit story on the boat. So Tarana Vidya is the Gita takes us from Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritamgamaya. How depressed and despairing and helpless Arjuna was in chapter 1, and how is he in chapter 18? Confident, bright, and totally empowered. Yeah. And that is the job of such a great Guru, Jagat Guru, Gitacharya, Sri Krishna Paramatma. Yeah? So one has to remember that Gita Sugita Kartavya. It is a Kartavya to study the Gita. And not once, not twice, how many times? Ananta Koti. You can study the Gita many times, and only then that wisdom will settle down in us. No? And that is the purpose of also when we have camps and long-term, short-term courses, Gurukulams. Why? Because you will be able to focus on the Shastras, even if it's for 3 days. Go for the camp, because you will digest more of the wisdom. No? And then you will become a great warrior when you return. You will be very calmly you can tackle the life situations in a much more empowered way. Om Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayataam Nyayena Margena Mahi Manisha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyah Prithvi Sasyashalini Deshoyam Shobharavitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayah Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha Hari Om